Captain Jake Morrison stared at the screens in the deep space monitoring station. The same darkness he had watched for 20 years stretched across the galaxy. Earth had been silent for 230 years, hidden behind energy shields that made their world look dead to anyone watching from space. Jake remembered the stories his grandfather told him about the contact wars. When humans first met aliens called the Zilani Collective in 2124, everything went wrong. The war lasted 3 years and nearly destroyed humanity. Only 50 million people survived on a burned Earth. Since then, humans stayed hidden and quiet. The monitoring station floated in empty space between Jupiter and Saturn. Jake's job was simple: watch and listen, but never respond. Earth's leaders decided long ago that silence was safety. The galaxy was too dangerous for humans. Dr. Lisa Kane walked into the control room carrying a cup of coffee. She was the station's expert on alien languages. Her job was to understand what other species were saying, even though Earth never talked back. "Anything interesting today?" Lisa asked, sitting at her desk covered with translation equipment. "Same, as always," Jake replied. "Trade signals from the Corvan Empire, some science data from the Vegan colonies, nothing new." Lieutenant Sam Torres was the youngest person on the station. At 25, he had never seen Earth with his own eyes. He was born on one of the hidden moon bases. Sam operated the communication arrays that captured signals from across the galaxy. "Captain," Sam called out, his voice shaking, "I'm getting something strange, a very strong signal from the outer rim." Jake floated over to Sam's station. The young man's hands moved quickly across the controls, trying to clean up the signal. What they heard made everyone stop working. The transmission was filled with panic and fear. Multiple alien voices spoke in different languages, but the universal translator worked on most of them. Words like help, dying, and last survivors came through clearly. Lisa moved to her equipment and started working on the harder parts of the message. Her face grew pale as she understood more of what the aliens were saying. "Jake, this is bad," she said quietly. "Really bad. Tell me." "It's a galaxy-wide distress call. Something called the Corvan Empire is destroying every intelligent species they find. They're not just conquering worlds. They're wiping out entire civilizations." Jake felt cold fear in his stomach. "How many species are asking for help?" "Dozens. Maybe hundreds." "And Jake?" Lisa paused, checking her translation again. "Some of these voices are Zilani." The room went silent. The Zilani Collective had been humanity's enemy in the contact wars. They had nearly destroyed Earth. Now they were calling for help like everyone else. Sam looked up from his station. "Captain, there's more. The signal is getting stronger. I think they're broadcasting from somewhere close to our sector." Admiral Chris Parker's voice came through the communication system from Earth. He had been listening to their reports. "Morrison, what's your assessment?" Jake took a deep breath. "Admiral, it sounds like the galaxy is ending. Whatever the Corvan Empire is, they're winning against everyone." "Including the Zilani?" "Yes, sir. According to Dr. Kane's translations, the Zilani lost their homeworld 6 months ago. They're running with whatever ships they have left." There was a long silence from Earth. Jake knew the Admiral was thinking about the same thing everyone was thinking. The species that nearly destroyed humanity was now facing destruction themselves. Lisa continued working on the translation. "Jake, I'm getting more details. The Corvan Empire has been expanding for 50 years. They have technology that's better than anything the galaxy has seen. When they take a world, they kill everyone on it and use the planet for their own people." "How many worlds have they taken?" Jake asked. "Over 3,000. The message says they're moving toward the core systems now. If they're not stopped, every intelligent species in the galaxy will be dead within 10 years. Sam was listening to another part of the signal. "Captain, they're not just asking for help. They're asking if anyone knows what happened to the humans." "What do you mean?" "They remember us from the contact wars. Some of the alien species think humans might be able to help because we fought so hard before, but they all think we're extinct." Jake laughed, but there was no happiness in it. "We might as well be extinct. 50 million people hiding on one world. What could we do against an empire that's destroying the galaxy?" The distress signal continued, for hours. Jake, Lisa, and Sam listened as species after species reported their worlds burning. The Corvin Empire moved like a wave of death across the stars. Lisa finished translating the main message. The survivors are gathering at a place called Haven Station. It's an old trading post in neutral space. They're trying to make a plan, but it sounds hopeless. How many ships do they have left? Jake asked. Maybe 2,000 from all the surviving species combined. The message says the Corvin Empire has 10 times that number. Sam was quiet for a long time, listening to the voices of the dying galaxy. Finally, he spoke. Captain, shouldn't we tell them we're alive? Our orders are clear, Lieutenant. We watch and listen. We don't respond. Earth's safety depends on staying hidden. But, sir, if the Corvin Empire wins, they'll eventually find Earth anyway. When they do, we'll be alone. Jake knew Sam was right, but orders were orders. Earth had survived 230 years by staying quiet. Breaking that silence could bring the Corvin Empire right to their door. The distress signal continued through the night. Jake couldn't sleep as he listened to the voices of entire civilizations crying for help. He thought about his grandfather's stories of the contact wars, when humans fought against impossible odds. In the morning, the signal was weaker. Many of the voices had stopped broadcasting. Lisa counted fewer species responding than the day before. They're losing, she said simply. Sam sat at his station staring at the communication controls. His finger hovered over the transmission button. Jake had seen that look before. It was the look of someone about to do something that couldn't be undone. Sam, step away from that console. Captain, we have to do something. We can't just listen to the galaxy die. Those are our orders. Sam's finger moved closer to the button. What if the orders are wrong? Before Jake could stop him, Sam pressed the transmission button. His voice went out across the galaxy, carried by Earth's most powerful antenna array. This is Lieutenant Sam Torres of Earth. We hear you. Earth remembers. The words hung in space like a bell that couldn't stop ringing. After 230 years of silence, humanity had spoken to the galaxy again. The silence that followed Sam's transmission lasted exactly 17 minutes. Then the galaxy exploded with voices. Commander Beth Williams stood in the Earth Defense Council chamber, watching screens filled with incoming messages. Every surviving alien species was trying to contact Earth at the same time. The communication arrays couldn't handle the flood of signals. Turn off the main receivers, Admiral Chris Parker ordered. We're being overwhelmed. Beth had spent her entire career preparing for this moment, even though everyone believed it would never come. She was Earth's first diplomatic envoy, trained to speak with alien species that most humans thought were extinct. Dr. Alex Rivers sat beside her, reading through the translated messages as fast as they came in. He was both a military strategist and a historian who had studied every detail of the contact wars. Most of these are just expressions of shock, Alex said. Half the galaxy thought humans were wiped out completely. The other half assumed we died from our wounds after the war. What about the Zilani? Beth asked. Alex pulled up a specific message on his screen. They sent this an hour ago. It's addressed directly to Earth's government. The message appeared in simple English, translated from the Zilani language. Beth read it aloud. To the surviving humans of Earth, we know our people fought a terrible war. We know we caused great harm to your species. We thought you were gone forever. If you still live, we beg you to consider that we face extinction, together now. The Corvin Empire shows no mercy to anyone. Zilani Prime Speaker Kethvar, commanding the last Free Fleet. General Mike Stone joined them in the chamber. He was in charge of Earth's military preparation, a job that had been theoretical. Until today, the President wants a full briefing in 1 hour. She needs to know exactly what we're dealing with. Beth nodded. What can you tell us about our current capabilities? Mike smiled for the first time in days. More than the galaxy expects. We didn't spend 230 years just hiding. We spent them learning. He activated a holographic display showing Earth's solar system. What appeared was nothing like the dead system the galaxy believed it to be. Earth's population isn't 50 million anymore. It's 2 billion. We have cities on Mars, Europa, Titan, and 12 other moons. The asteroid belt has been converted into mining and manufacturing facilities. Alex leaned forward, studying the display. How did we hide all of this? The same energy shield that makes Earth look dead also hides our other activities. From outside, the solar system, it looks like nothing has changed since the contact wars. Beth was amazed. What about military capabilities? Mike changed the display to show ship construction facilities. We have a fleet of 500 warships hidden in the outer planets. They use technology based on everything we learned from captured Zalani equipment during the war. The Zalani don't know we studied their technology? Nobody knows. We've been very careful. Every piece of alien tech that ended up on Earth after the war was analyzed and improved. We learned from every species we encountered, not just the Zalani. A new priority message appeared on Beth's screen. It was from the Zalani again, but this one was different. Commander Williams, they're asking for a meeting. Prime Speaker Kethvar wants to discuss an alliance. Alex shook his head. This is incredible. The species that nearly destroyed us is asking for our help. Do we have a choice? Beth asked. If this Corvan Empire is as powerful as the reports suggest, Earth won't be safe whether we help or not. Mike pulled up intelligence reports about the Corvan Empire. According to what we've intercepted, they've destroyed over 3,000 worlds in 50 years. They don't negotiate. They don't take prisoners. They kill every intelligent being they find and take the planet for themselves. How long before they reach our sector? Beth asked. If they continue at their current pace, maybe 5 years. But if they learn that Earth is inhabited... Mike didn't finish the sentence. Admiral Parker joined them via video link from the orbital command station. The President has made her decision. Commander Williams, you're authorized to make contact with the Zalani representatives. Beth felt the weight of history on her shoulders. She would be the first human to speak directly with an alien in 230 years. Where do they want to meet? Haven Station. It's an old neutral trading post where the survivors are gathering. Alex pulled up information about Haven Station. It's in the Kepler 442 system, about 200 light-years from Earth. The Zalani say they can guarantee safe passage. How do we get there without revealing our capabilities? Beth asked. Mike answered, we have a ship designed for exactly this situation, the EDS Messenger. It looks like an old Earth design from before the contact wars, but it has modern shields and engines hidden inside. Admiral Parker continued the briefing. Commander Williams, your mission is to assess the situation and determine if an alliance is possible. Dr. Rivers will accompany you as military advisor. What about the other species? Beth asked. The distress signals mentioned dozens of surviving civilizations. We'll deal with them after we understand the Zalani situation. They were our primary enemy during the contact wars. If we can work with them, we can probably work with anyone. Beth spent the next week preparing for the journey. She studied every record of human-Zalani interactions, learning about their culture, their language, and their history. The more she learned, the more she understood how similar humans and Zalani actually were. Both species had been expanding into space when they met. Both were territorial and proud. The war started because of a misunderstanding about a border system, but it continued because neither side would admit they were wrong. The EDS Messenger was smaller than Beth expected, designed to carry only a small diplomatic team. As they traveled through hyperspace toward Haven Station, she wondered what she would find there. Alex, what do you think changed their minds about us? She asked during the journey. Desperation, probably. When you're facing extinction, old enemies start looking like potential allies. Do you think we can trust them? Alex was quiet for a long time. I think we can trust them to want to survive. The question is whether we want the same thing. They dropped out of hyperspace near Haven Station 3 days later. What they saw shocked them both. The station was surrounded by hundreds of alien ships from dozens of different species. But these weren't military vessels. They were refugee ships, cargo haulers, and damaged warships that had barely escaped the Corvan advance. Beth, Alex said, staring at the scanner readings. There are millions of aliens on those ships. They're not just survivors. They're everyone who's left. A communication came through from the largest Zalani ship. The voice spoke in accented but clear English. Human ship, this is Prime Speaker Kethvar. We greet you with hope and sorrow. Hope that your people survive, and sorrow for the pain between our species. Beth activated the communication system. After 230 years of silence, she spoke for all of humanity. Prime Speaker Kethvar, this is Commander Beth Williams of Earth. We come seeking understanding and perhaps alliance against a common enemy. Commander Williams, we welcome you to Haven Station. We have much to discuss and very little time to discuss it. The Corvan Empire grows stronger every day. As the EDS messenger docked with Haven Station, Beth realized that her words would determine not just Earth's future, but the future of every intelligent species in the galaxy. Haven Station looked like a floating city, built from the broken pieces of 100 different worlds. Commander Beth Williams walked through corridors filled with aliens she had only seen in history books. Zilani with their tall, thin bodies, and forearms moved alongside shorter, stockier beings from the Vegan colonies. Everyone looked tired and afraid. Prime Speaker Kethvar met Beth in what had once been the station's main conference room. The Zilani leader was older than Beth expected, with scars across his face that could only have come from battle. Commander Williams, Kethvar said in careful English, I fought against your people 30 years ago. I killed many humans with my own hands. Beth studied his face. And humans killed many of your people, but we're not here to fight old wars. No. We are here because new wars threaten to destroy us all. Dr. Alex Rivers joined them, carrying a datapad with intelligence reports. Prime Speaker, we need to understand exactly what we're facing with the Corvan Empire. Kethvar activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red areas marked Corvan-controlled space, which covered nearly a third of all known systems. The Idin Corvan Empire appeared 50 years ago from beyond the galactic rim. Their technology is unlike anything we have encountered. Their weapons cut through our strongest shields. Their ships move faster than ours. Most importantly, they never negotiate. What do they want? Beth asked. Everything. Every world that can support life. They kill all inhabitants and replace them with their own people. They call it cleansing for the pure. Alex pointed to areas on the map. How many species have they destroyed completely? 47 that we know of. The Altarian Consortium, the Rigel Federation, the Crystal Singers of Vega Prime, all gone. Beth felt sick. Each name represented billions of lives lost. How many of you are left? Perhaps 20 species with enough ships to fight. Maybe 5 million individuals total. The Corvan Empire has 1 billion soldiers and 10,000 warships. The B. Numbers were hopeless. Beth understood why the aliens were so desperate for help, but she also knew they didn't understand what Earth could really do. Prime Speaker, I need to ask you something important. During our war, how much did you learn about human military capabilities? Kethvar looked confused. We learned that humans fight with great determination. Your tactics were unusual, but your technology was inferior to ours. What if I told you that wasn't true? I would say that we won most of the battles. Alex smiled. You won battles, but you didn't win the war. Earth wasn't defeated. Earth chose to withdraw. That is impossible. We saw your worlds burning. We counted your dead. Beth activated her own datapad, showing records that had been classified for 230 years. Those worlds were evacuated before your attacks. Most of the dead humans you counted were actually android decoys. The real casualties were much lower than you believed. Kethvar stared at the information. Why did you not tell us this? Because we wanted you to think you had won. We wanted everyone to think Earth was finished. But why? Alex explained. Because we were learning. Every battle taught us something new about galactic technology. Every captured Zilani ship gave us information about faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, and shield systems. We studied everything. And then you disappeared. We went home to build. For 230 years, humans have been taking the best technology from every species we encountered and making it better. Beth showed Kethvar images of Earth's hidden shipyards. The Zilani leader's 4 eyes widened as he saw the massive construction facilities orbiting Jupiter and Saturn. How many ships do you have? Enough, Beth said simply. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout Haven Station. A young Zilani officer rushed into the room. Prime Speaker, Corvin scouts have found us. 3 ships approaching fast. Beth activated her communicator. EDS Messenger, prepare for immediate departure. But Kethvar grabbed her arm. Commander, if you leave now, they will follow you back to Earth. Beth realized he was right. The Corvin scouts had probably already detected the human ship. Running would only lead the enemy to humanity's hidden world. Alex, contact Earth. Tell them we need backup. How much backup? Alex asked. All of it. Captain Ryan Mitchell commanded the EDS Defiance, one of Earth's newest warships. When the call came from Haven Station, his ship was on patrol near Pluto. The journey to Haven Station would normally take 3 days, but the Defiance had engines that the galaxy had never seen before. They arrived in 6 hours. The Corvin scouts were already attacking Haven Station when the Defiance dropped out of hyperspace. The alien ships were sleek and black, firing red energy beams that cut through the station's shields like paper. Captain, called out engineer Kate Hudson from her station. Their weapon signatures are unlike anything in our database. Then we'll have to improvise. Kate, activate the adaptive shields. The Defiance moved toward the battle with a grace that surprised everyone watching. Human ships had always been considered clumsy compared to alien designs, but this vessel moved. Like it was dancing, the first Corvin ship turned toward the new arrival and fired its main weapon. The red energy beam struck the Defiance's shields and simply disappeared. Captain, Kate reported with excitement, the adaptive shields are working perfectly. Their energy is being absorbed and converted to power our own systems. Excellent. Return fire. The Defiance's weapons were different from anything the galaxy used. Instead of energy beams or projectiles, they fired concentrated gravity waves that could crush a ship's hull or simply push it away. The first Corvin scout crumpled like paper. The second tried to run, but gravity waves moved at the speed of light. The third scout managed to send a distress signal before it was destroyed. On Haven Station, Kethvar watched the battle through the observation ports. Commander Williams, your ship just destroyed 3 Corvin scouts without taking any damage. The Defiance is just one of our smaller vessels, Beth replied. We've had 230 years to think about how to fight. Alex was analyzing the wreckage of the Corvin ships. Beth, look at this. Their technology is advanced, but it's specialized. They've never had to adapt to different fighting styles. What do you mean? They fight the same way against everyone. Overwhelming firepower, superior numbers, advanced technology. It works because most species fight back the same way. Beth understood. But humans don't fight the same way as everyone else. Exactly. We adapt. We learn. We change our tactics based on what we're facing. Kethvar was still staring at the space where the Corvin ships had been. In 50 years, no one has destroyed a Corvin vessel and survived to report it. You destroyed 3 in minutes. Prime Speaker, Beth said, what if I told you that wasn't our best ship? Then I would say that perhaps this alliance might work after all. Captain Mitchell's voice came through the communication system. Commander Williams, we've analyzed the Corvin technology. It's impressive but predictable. If this is what we're facing, Earth can handle it. Beth looked around the room at the alien representatives who had gathered to watch the battle. For the first time in months, she saw hope in their faces. Prime Speaker, gather your fleet commanders. It's time they learned what humans have been doing for the past 230 years. As news of the Corvin defeat spread through Haven Station, something changed. The refugees started talking about fighting back instead of just running. The military officers began planning attacks instead of just retreats. For 50 years, the Bombi Corvin Empire had seemed unstoppable. But in 6 minutes, a single human ship had proven that they could be beaten. Sometimes all it takes to change everything is proof that victory is possible. Admiral Jack Collins stood on the bridge of the EDS Terra, watching the largest fleet in galactic history assemble around Earth. Ships from 20 different species floated alongside 500 human vessels that had been hidden for over 2 centuries. The journey from Haven Station to Earth had taken 2 weeks. During that time, Commander Beth Williams had convinced the surviving alien civilizations that humanity was their best hope for survival. What she hadn't told them was how much that hope would cost. Dr. Nina Walsh worked frantically in her laboratory aboard the Terra. She was Earth's leading expert on quantum physics, and she was racing against time to complete humanity's secret weapon. The laboratory was filled with equipment that combined human engineering with technology from a dozen alien species. "Admiral," Nina called out, "I need 12 more hours for the final calibrations." "You have 6, Jack replied. "Long-range sensors show the Corvin main fleet is already in our outer system." Lieutenant Paul Baker sat in the cockpit of his fighter craft, checking systems one final time. His ship looked small compared to the massive warships around him, but it carried technology that would have seemed like magic to the humans who fought in the contact wars. The fighter's engines could accelerate it to near light speed in seconds. Its weapons could adapt to any target in real time. Most importantly, it was controlled by a neural interface that let Paul think his commands instead of typing them. "All fighter squadrons, this is Admiral Collins," came the voice over the communication system. "The Corvin fleet has been detected at the edge of our solar system. 2,000 ships, just as the intelligence reports predicted." Jack turned to his tactical officer. "Colonel Dan Foster, what's our defensive status?" Dan pulled up a display showing the entire solar system. "All orbital platforms are active. The asteroid belt defensive network is online. Allied ships are in position according to the plan." The plan had been developed during the journey from Haven Station. Instead of meeting the Corvin fleet in open space, humanity would use the solar system itself as a weapon. Every asteroid, moon, and planet had been prepared for this battle. "Sir," reported the communications officer, "we're receiving a message from the Corvin fleet. It's addressed to all ships in the system." "Put it through." The voice that filled. The bridge was cold and mechanical. "Inhabitants of this system, you are trespassing in space claimed by the Corvin Empire. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be swift." Jack activated the response channel. "This is Admiral Jack Collins of Earth. You are trespassing in our home system. Leave now and we won't destroy you." There was a pause. Then the Corvin voice returned, filled with what might have been amusement. "Primitive humans, we destroyed your species once before. We will finish the task now." "You never destroyed us," Jack replied. "You just made us angry." The Corvin fleet began moving toward the inner system, 2,000 ships in perfect formation, their black hulls reflecting no light. They had conquered half the galaxy with this same approach. Overwhelming force applied without mercy. But as they approached Mars, the first surprise waited for them. The planet's 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos, suddenly began moving. What the Corvins had assumed were natural satellites were actually massive weapons platforms disguised to look like moons. "Fire," Jack ordered. Both moons opened up with gravity wave cannons. The weapons didn't fire energy beams or projectiles. Instead, they created artificial gravity fields that could crush ships or throw them off course. 50 Corvin ships were destroyed in the first salvo. Another 100 were damaged and spinning out of control. The perfect formation began to break apart. "This is impossible," came a new Corvin voice, higher pitched and filled with confusion. "Our intelligence said this system was defenseless." Jack smiled. "Your intelligence was 230 years out of date." The Corvin fleet regrouped and continued toward Earth, but now they were moving more carefully. Their scouts probed ahead, searching for more hidden weapons. They found them everywhere. The asteroid belt came alive with hidden gun platforms. Rocks that had looked natural for centuries suddenly revealed themselves as camouflaged weapons systems. Gravity mines activated as the Corvin ships passed, creating spatial distortions that tore hulls apart. Lieutenant Paul Baker led his fighter squadron through the chaos. The small ships moved between the massive warships like insects, too fast and agile for the Corvin weapons to track effectively. "Baker to all fighters," Paul called over the radio. "Remember the plan. Hit their sensor arrays, not their main guns. Blind them first." The human fighters swarmed over the Corvin ships, their adaptive weapons finding weak points in alien armor. One by one, the enemy vessels lost their ability to see and coordinate. But the Corvins were learning too. Their return fire began to anticipate human tactics. Several fighters were destroyed, and Paul watched friends disappear in flashes of light. "Admiral," reported Colonel Foster, "the Corvin fleet is adapting to our weapons. They're learning to counter the gravity waves." Jack nodded. He had expected this. The Corvins hadn't conquered the galaxy by being stupid. Phase 2. Deploy the quantum resonance weapon. Dr. Nina Walsh had spent 5 years developing the weapon based on captured Corvin technology. If her theories were correct, it would disable every Corvin ship in the system simultaneously. "Nina, are you ready?" Jack asked. "The weapon is charged. But Admiral, I have to warn you. If I'm wrong about the resonance frequency, this could disable our ships too." Jack looked around the bridge at his crew. They had volunteered for this mission knowing they might not survive it. "Do it." The quantum resonance weapon activated from a hidden platform near Jupiter. An invisible wave of energy spread outward, at the speed of light, reaching every ship in the system within minutes. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, Corvin ships began to lose power. Their engines shut down. Their weapons went silent. Their shields collapsed. But human and alien alliance ships continued to function normally. "It worked," Nina shouted from her laboratory. "The resonance frequency only affects Corvin quantum cores." The tide of battle had turned in seconds. 2,000 Corvin ships floated helplessly in space, their crews trapped inside dead vessels. "This is Overlord Zixthak of the Corvin Empire," came a new voice, filled with rage. "You will pay for this treachery with your lives." Jack could see on his screens that one massive ship at the back of the Corvin fleet was still operational. The flagship had been too far away when the quantum weapon fired. "Colonel Foster, why is that ship still active?" Dan checked his readings. "It's using a different type of power source. Some kind of exotic matter reactor that our weapon can't affect." The Corvin flagship began moving toward Earth, its weapons charging for what looked like a planet-killing attack. "Sir," reported the tactical officer, "that ship has enough firepower to crack Earth's crust." Jack realized that despite their victory, they still faced disaster. One ship could destroy everything they had fought to protect. "All ships, focus fire on the Corvin flagship. Everything we have." The combined fleet turned toward the massive enemy vessel. Human gravity cannons, Zilani plasma weapons, vegan particle beams, and weapons from a dozen other species fired together. The attack struck the Corvin flagship's shields and was absorbed without effect. "Their shields are too strong," Foster reported. "We can't penetrate them." Jack watched as the enemy ship continued toward Earth. In minutes, it would be close enough to fire on the planet. All their planning, all their preparation, and it might not be enough. Then Lieutenant Baker's voice came over the radio. "Admiral, I have an idea, but I'll need every fighter in the fleet to make it work." "What do you have in mind, Lieutenant?" "If we can't break through their shields, maybe we can get inside them." Jack understood immediately. Fighter craft were small enough to slip through shield frequencies at exactly the right moment, but the timing would have to be perfect, and most of the pilots wouldn't survive. "Do it," Jack ordered. Paul Baker led 200 fighters from 20 different species toward the Corvin flagship. They dove toward the massive ship like arrows aimed at a giant's heart, knowing that their sacrifice might be the only thing standing between Earth and destruction. Lieutenant Paul Baker watched Earth grow larger in his fighter's view screen as the Corvin flagship continued its approach. 200 fighters from across the galaxy followed him in a desperate charge toward the massive enemy vessel. "All fighters, this is Baker," he called over the radio. "Remember, we need to hit their shield generator simultaneously. Miss the timing and we all die for nothing." The Corvin flagship was 3 miles long and bristled with weapons. Its shields shimmered like a soap bubble around the dark hull. Paul's fighter was tiny in comparison, like a bee attacking a battleship. Captain Steve Carter commanded the EDS Terra, humanity's most powerful warship. He watched the fighters racing toward almost certain death and wished there was another way. "Captain," called his tactical officer, "the Corvin flagship is charging its main weapon. They're targeting the North American continent." Steve looked at the tactical display showing Earth below them. 3 billion people lived on that planet, most of them unaware that the greatest battle in galactic history was happening above their heads. President Helen Gray's voice came through the communication system from Earth's Orbital Command Center. "Captain Carter, what's the status of the fighter attack?" "Ma'am, Lieutenant Baker's squadron is 30 seconds from the enemy ship. If they succeed in bringing down the shields, we can destroy the flagship." "And if they fail?" Steve didn't answer. "Immediately. If the fighters failed, the Corvin weapon would fire on Earth in less than 5 minutes." "Ma'am, if they fail, we'll ram the Terra into the flagship's main gun." "Captain, that would be suicide." "Yes, ma'am. But it would save Earth." "Doctor." Lisa Kane sat in the communication center aboard the Terra, monitoring radio signals from across the galaxy. Since the battle began, she had been listening to broadcasts from dozens of species, all watching to see if the impossible alliance could defeat the Corvin Empire. "Captain Carter," Lisa called out. "I'm receiving surrender signals from the disabled Corvin ships. They want to negotiate." Steve was surprised. "The Corvin Empire doesn't negotiate. They've never taken prisoners. These aren't coming from the Empire leadership. They're coming from individual ship commanders and crew members. Sir, I think many of them are tired of the war." Paul Baker's fighters reached the Corvin flagship's shields. The massive energy barrier crackled around them as they searched for the perfect moment to strike. "All fighters, hold position," Paul ordered. "Wait for the shield pulse." Every few seconds, the Corvin shields pulsed as they recalibrated. For a fraction of a second during each pulse, there was a gap near the shield generators. It was the only weakness in an otherwise perfect defense. Pulse in 3, 2, 1. Now. 200 fighters dove through the shield gap simultaneously. Most made it through, but 30 were caught by the closing energy field and destroyed instantly. Inside the shield perimeter, the fighters split into attack groups. Paul led his squadron toward the primary shield generator while other groups targeted secondary systems. "Remember," Paul called to his pilots, "hit the generators at exactly the same time. If even one stays online, the shields will regenerate." The Corvin point defense guns opened fire, filling space around the flagship with deadly energy beams. Fighter after fighter disappeared in explosions of light, but the survivors pressed on toward their targets. Paul's squadron reached the primary shield generator just as the other attack groups reached theirs. The massive device was built into the flagship's hull like a metallic flower, crackling with energy. "All squadrons, fire on my mark," Paul ordered. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Every surviving fighter fired at once. Gravity cannons, plasma bolts, particle beams, and exotic energy weapons struck the shield generators from every direction. The Corvin flagship's shields collapsed in a cascade of failing energy. The massive vessel was suddenly vulnerable for the first time in its existence. "All ships fire," Captain Carter ordered. The combined fleet unleashed everything they had at the unprotected flagship. The alien vessel's armor began to crack under the assault, but its main weapon continued charging. Inside the Corvin flagship, Overlord Zixthak watched his ship dying around him. He had conquered 1,000 worlds for the Empire, but these humans and their allies fought unlike anything he had ever encountered. "Overlord," reported his weapons officer. "Main gun will be ready to fire in 60 seconds. Target their largest population center," Zixthak ordered. "If we must die, we will take millions of them with us." But then something unexpected happened. A human voice began broadcasting on all frequencies, reaching every ship in the system. Dr. Lisa Kane spoke into her microphone, addressing not just the Corvin flagship, but every disabled enemy vessel floating helplessly in space. "This is Dr. Lisa Kane of Earth speaking to all Corvin forces. Your overlord is about to commit genocide against innocent civilians. You have families too. You have people you love. Is this the legacy you want to leave behind?" Her words were translated into the Corvin language and broadcast to every enemy ship. Lisa continued speaking, her voice calm and clear despite the chaos of battle around her. "For 50 years, your empire has told you that other species are inferior, that they deserve to die. But look around you. Humans, Solani, vegans, and dozens of other species are fighting together. We're not fighting to destroy you, we're fighting to save everyone, including yourselves." On the Corvin flagship, Weapons Officer Kralmoth listened to the human's words and felt something he hadn't experienced in years: doubt. He looked at his targeting screen, showing the cities of Earth where billions of innocent beings lived. "Sir," he said to Overlord Zixthak, "perhaps we should consider surrender." "Never!" Zixthak roared. "Fire the main weapon!" But Kralmoth's finger hesitated over the firing control. Around the flagship, other Corvan officers on disabled ships were making their own choices. Lisa continued her broadcast. "We know what it's like to be afraid. We know what it's like to fight for survival, but we also know that destroying others won't save you. Working together will." Captain Carter watched his tactical display as something unprecedented happened. Corvan ships throughout the system began powering down their weapons voluntarily. Ship after ship broadcast surrender signals. "Captain," reported his communications officer, "we're receiving hundreds of surrender messages. Most of the Corvan fleet is standing down, but the flagship was still a threat. Its main weapon was almost fully charged, and Overlord Zixthak showed no signs of backing down." President Gray's voice came through the radio again. "Dr. Kane, keep talking. Whatever you're doing, it's working." Lisa took a deep breath and continued her message to the galaxy. "The war doesn't have to continue. The killing doesn't have to continue. Every species in this system, including the Corvans, has the right to exist and prosper. We offer you not defeat, but partnership. On the Corvan," Flagship Weapons Officer Kralmoth made his decision. Instead of firing the main weapon at Earth, he turned it toward his own ship's reactor. "If you won't surrender," he told Overlord Zixthak, "then I'll make sure you can't commit genocide." The main weapon fired, but instead of destroying Earth, it disabled the flagship's power core. The massive vessel went dark, floating helplessly like the rest of the Corvan fleet. Overlord Zixthak stared at his weapons officer in disbelief. "You have doomed the Empire." "No," Kralmoth replied. "I've saved it." The battle was over. In the space around Earth, 2,000 Corvan ships floated peacefully alongside the Allied fleet. For the first time in 50 years, the Corvan war machine had stopped. Dr. Lisa Kane's voice continued to broadcast across the galaxy, carrying humanity's message to every corner of known space. "The quiet is over. Let's build something better together." Captain Carter looked out at the stars, where ships from across the galaxy were beginning to work together instead of fighting. Earth had broken its 230-year silence not with weapons, but with words that offered hope instead of destruction. President Gray addressed the fleet from Earth. "To all beings in this system, welcome to a new age. The age of cooperation begins now." Lieutenant Paul Baker, one of only 50 fighter pilots who survived the attack on the flagship, flew his damaged ship slowly past the disabled Corvan vessels. Through his radio, he could hear Corvan crew members talking with human and alien engineers about repairs and resettlement. The galaxy had changed in a single day. The words that broke Earth's silence had become the words that ended the greatest war in galactic history. As the combined fleet began the long work of peace, one message continued to echo across the stars. "We hear you. Earth remembers, and together we will build something better."